Good morning, students. How are you? How was your Onam? Is it enjoyable? I think when comparing with the yesteryears, it is a little bit less delightful, right? Because of this corona related situations. What we can do? We need to adjust with all those things. Anyway, again, we are starting our online class sections from today onwards. Today we are starting our class with another section in the chapter circulation. Okay, I hope you all are ready to begin the class. ABO blood group system. Before that, before Onam holidays, we have finished up to different types of blood cells. WBC, RBC, different types of WBC, all those things. So today we are going to see which are the different type of blood groups exist in our body. It's a common name for that blood group system. It's called a multiple allelic system. It is discovered by Karl Landsteiner in 1990. He discovered that three alleles are alternative form of a gene. Right, I think you know that. So this ABO blood group is um, decided by three alleles. These three alleles is responsible for the inheritance of blood group from one generation to another generation. A father having O group is more likely to give a baby with the blood group O itself. That type of inheritance, the main factor responsible for such type of inheritance are three alleles. It was discovered by Karl Landsteiner. And we have to see which are those alleles. They are IA, IB and IO. And taking all these letters, it comes ABO blood groups. And these alleles determines the presence of certain antigen. These antigens are otherwise called agglutinogens. Is present on the plasma membrane of RBC. If that RBC with IA allele, that RBC comes maybe of A group. If it is having B agglutinogen, that blood group belongs to B group. If it is of O, then it become O. If it's having A and B, then it become AB group. So we can go and see all those things. Next slide. Different blood groups. A group is there, B group is there, AB group is there and O group is there. So we need to understand in each group which are the antigen and antibody present. And for understanding, for memorizing that, there's a trick. A group, what is the letter A? That same letter will be the antigen. A group having the A antigen. And A antigen, we can consider it as a devil. And corresponding to that devil, we need a weapon in our body. That weapon is antibody. And we never keep fire and water together. It's not possible to keep both fire and water together. Both are opposite. Likewise, in A group, that since A antigen is present there, it is not possible to the corresponding A antibody here. So instead, which type antibody is present here? Beta, or it is represented by B antibody. Only with this arrangement, it can create a normal situation in the body. So, A group have A antigen and what is the antibody present in that? Antibody is beta or B. And when coming to B group, then first letter is B. So, correspondingly, the antigen is B. And since B antigen is there, It's only possible to keep the antibody, which is one alpha, A for alpha, A antibody is only possible to coexist with this B antigen. When coming to AB group, both letters are here. So, both antigens are present here. A antigen is present here and B antigen. So, both of these double forms are there. So, it's not possible to keep any weapons. So, there is no antibody. None of the antibodies are present in AB group. Then coming to O group, O means there is no A, no B. So, no antigens are present. And since no antigens are there, it's very easy. It's very possible. It's very easy to have both antibody coexist in O group. That's about different types of blood group. I think you understand that. Then we need to understand a term agglutination. What is agglutination or clumping or clotting? When it's happened, when two mismatched blood mix together, then this agglutination happens. We are going to understand about that. This is A group. A group means A antigen is there, antibody B. B means beta. Okay. Next, B blood group. B blood group with B antigen and antibody alpha or small I. If it happen to mix, how this mixing may occur, how in what all circumstances mistakenly a blood group person is happen to receive blood from a B group person. In such cases, if the B blood group happen to mix with A blood group, what will happen? As the both types of blood get mixed, here present, what is present here? B antibody is present here, and here B antigen is there. So this B antibody reacts with this B antigen and results in the destruction of this RBC cells from the donor. That destruction is called agglutination. This is a picture of agglutinated blood sample, and this is the non-agglutinated normal blood sample. I have given this picture for you to understand what is clumping, because for in your sixth semester there's one practical for recognizing the blood group. That time you need to understand or you have to discriminate between agglutinated and non-agglutinated blood. By seeing this picture, I think it will be very helpful for you that time. So this is the agglutinated. Okay, I think you understand what is the term agglutination. Next, another term is there, blood transfusion. Transfusion means blood from one person is transferred to blood of another person. And the person that is giving blood is called a donor, and the person who receives blood is called a recipient. Whenever a mismatched blood is given to a recipient, then there will happen an antigen antibody reaction, and as a result of this reaction, hemolysis, destruction of the blood RBC cells of the recipient cells in the destruction of donors RBC cell in the recipient's body occurs, and it may result in the death of the person. How that death occurs? Whenever a mismatched blood enters the body of a recipient, that donor's blood may underwent agglutination inside the body of that recipient. That agglutinated blood cells may clog in his blood vessels in different parts. That clogging prevents the proper blood circulation to different body parts, brain, heart, kidney, and all those things are very fatal and may result in the death of that person. Then we need to understand about universal donor and universal recipient. Universal donor means that person, the person with that blood group can donate blood to any other person, irrespective of his blood group. Which is that group? This is called O group. O group, what is peculiar about the O group? What is peculiar about O group? O group is neither having A antigen or B antigen. There is no devil. So, without any devil, it can enter the body of any person. So, that's what it is called a universal donor. Don't write devil in any part of your answer. I give that term only for a thing to memorize you, easily memorize you about the antigen. Don't write as devil anywhere in your answer. Okay. Then universal recipient. Recipient means that person, the blood group, person with that blood group can receive any type of blood group, irrespective of whatever group it is. That group is called AB group. Why is it so? What is peculiar about AB group? AB group, in that AB group, both antigens are present, but there is no antibody. There is a weapon. Weapon is not present. There is no weapon to attack the devil that coming into the body. So there's no problem whenever O group blood enters that person's body, A blood group enters that person's body, no problem. B blood group enters in that body, there's no problem. So that AB group is called a universal recipient. Then what is the medical importance of ABO blood group system? It help in forensic field to some extent to determine the paternity of a child. If some dispute happens between about the parentship regarding a child, then based on the blood group, to certain extent we can say whether that child belong to that father itself. A child with the AB group cannot have a father of O group because that blood group strictly comes according to the law of inheritance governed by alleles, genes. So that's what it's about our ABO blood group system. Then we are coming to RH blood group. RH is, what is RH? It is another type of antigen. Till now we have learned, understand that there is only two type of antigens, A and B. And there is one more additional antigen, that is RH antigen. It is discovered in rhesus monkey called Macaca mullata by Landsteiner and not Seven, it's typing mistake, and Weiner. They found this RH factor in rhesus monkey, so it is called the RH factor after the name of this monkey. There are RH positive persons and RH negative persons. RH positive means persons having RH antigen. Those persons are called RH positive. Those persons are lacking the RH antigen are called RH negative. Then in this time of blood transfusion between a person having RH positive and the person between RH negative, what will happen? In the first stage of transfusion, first time a person with RH positive receive blood from a person that is who is RH negative, in that time, for the first time, there is not much problem because as RH negative blood enters in his body, the body takes certain time to develop antibody against. In a more clear way, we need to consider in the opposite way. Opposite way means the recipient person is RH negative and the donor person is RH positive. Understand? No confusion. Recipient person is RH negative and the donor person is RH positive. Then RH positive blood is coming to the body of RH negative person. The first time. Then that RH negative person's body takes some time to develop antibody against that RH antigen. And as it developed that Rh antigen, a delayed agglutination happened in his body, and that agglutinator cell get hemolyzed, and that effect is somewhat mild. And in because of some circumstances, if the same person happened to receive the Rh positive blood again in his life, then that time the condition will be very severe, similar to the condition in which A group person receive blood from a B group. Understand? So the case of Rh factor, if a mismatch happens, first time there is not much problem, because for developing the Rh antibody against the Rh factor, it needs some time. So first time there is not much problematic. Second time, if that person again receive the same blood, that time that antibody is already present in the blood of that person. So it can attack that Rh antigen, and agglutination suddenly occur, and hemolysis occur, and it clogged in the blood vessels of that person's blood vessels, and block proper circulation to various vital organs, and results in the death of that person. Okay, next slide. Next is about blood clotting. Blood clotting is a very important essay question, somewhat sure for your examination. So you should be keenly listen to this section. It's a part of homeostasis. Homeostasis means to maintain an equilibrium in our harmonious equilibrium. Blood clotting is very necessary. Without that blood clotting system, enormous amount of blood may lose from our body, and finally that person may die. So it's a part of homeostasis. Three main processes are happening whenever there occurs a wound. Which are that three main processes? First is that blood vessel in the region of that wound narrows. Narrowing of the blood vessel. Second thing, at the region of that wound, platelets are aggregated. The second thing. And after the platelets aggregate, some clotting factors act on the site of the wound. These are the three main processes initiated at the very moment a person have a wound. Which are the three processes? Narrowing of blood vessel, platelets action, and the action of clotting factors. General process. Mainly, what all the processes are happening in blood clotting, that we are going to see. This is a blood vessel, and inside the blood vessel there is a lining that is called endothelium, and here is suddenly a wound is happened, and in the collagen that present in the wall of the blood vessel get exposed. When that collagen get exposed to external atmosphere, what will happen? Platelets that present in the blood will move and aggregate and clump down that region. And it's not strong, and we need to strongly paste all these platelets there. For that, there is a glue in our body, von Willebrand factor. This is called von Willebrand factor. I will tell you the spelling. The von Willebrand factor. VONWILLEBRAND. That factor, von Willebrand factor. It acts as a glue and firmly fix all these platelets at the site of the wound. Strengthen that platelets aggregation. Upon getting enough strength, these platelets become activated and release its contents. Whatever contents present inside the platelets are released. And as these contents are released, more platelets are attracted and they also move to the region of the wound. Then this is a picture of a single platelet, and as this platelets clump at the region of wound, it exposes special type of glycoprotein on its wall. And as this glycoprotein is exposed on the wall, it will attract fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is the main factor, main agent for creating the clot. Then fibrinogen come and bind over that platelets and form a clot. These are the basic process, general process in blood clotting. Next, coagulation cascade. Coagulation pathway. Two pathways are there. Two pathways combinedly we are giving that term coagulation cascade. First pathway is called contact activation pathway or intrinsic pathway. And second one is called the tissue factor pathway or extrinsic pathway. And both these pathways combine in a common pathway. Both these pathway ends up in a common pathway. And that common pathway then ends up in the fibrin formation. Then we need to understand what is that common pathway. Common pathway means the process of conversion of prothrombin to thrombin. Prothrombin is the inactive form of thrombin. Thrombin is already present in our body, but in an inactive form, it's called prothrombin. In the final common pathway, that prothrombin get converted to thrombin. For what it is converted to thrombin? There is one purpose. That thrombin cleave fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is the inactive form of fibrin. Cleave the fibrinogen to fibrin and form the clot. And in this entire process, tissue factor pathway is the main principal, very important pathway. So next slide. We are going to learn in detail about each pathway. Contact activation pathway or intrinsic pathway. A wound is happening in the blood vessel and collagen is exposed. What is next is happening? Some proteins are coming and binding on that collagen. Which are the proteins? Kininogen, prekallikrein and factor 12. When all these factors come and bind together, form a complex. That complex is called primary complex. We all know, we all become more activated whenever we meet with our friends. Like this here also, when all these factors meet together, they also become more activated. Prekallikrein change to kallikrein and factor 12 change to factor 12. And one more thing, in this pathway, all pathways, I wrote all the letters in our normal way. But for your examination, you have to write all these letters in Roman. For easy understanding, I write told us in this form, but for examination, you have to write it in Roman letter. Okay. So, as all these factors, proteins come and bind together and form a primary complex. Prekallikrein get converted to kallikrein and factor 12 get converted to factor 12. Both these are activated form. And what they next do? Factor 12 we go and activate 11 because 12 after before 12 that is 11. In that way we can memorize that. Activates 11. 11 become activated to form factor 11A. Then 11A activate which factor? Factor 9. 10 is not there. 10 is we are eluding now. We need to tell about 10 later. Then Factor 11A activates 9 to 9A. Then came a cofactor, which is the cofactor 8A. Come and binds with this 9A along with the calcium ion. So, the importance of calcium ions here. Calcium is very important. And that complex is called the tenase, second complex. First complex that we learn is primary complex, and there came second complex in the cascade, that is tenase complex. Tenase complex consists of factor 9A and cofactor 8A and calcium. What they do? They activate factor 10 to factor 10A. There, that intrinsic pathway ends after activating factor 10. Next, tissue factor pathway or extrinsic pathway. It is also simultaneous. Whenever the wound happens, both these pathway occurs simultaneously together. Main function is to create a thrombin burst to generate a huge burst, high amount of thrombin in our body. This tissue factor pathway is active. And when that damage wound happen in the blood vessel, uh, on the very spot, on the very next moment, if cofactor that is formed in the body, that is endothelial tissue factor, or otherwise it's factor 3. What this cofactor is doing? It go and binds with the factor 7. On binding with the factor 7, this factor 7 become activated to factor 7A, and this factor 7A and factor 7 factor 3 to the form the third complex in the pathway, that is tissue factor pathway. First complex is primary complex, second is tenase complex, and again another complex we are learning, that is tissue factor complex. What it is doing? It go and bind with the factor 10 and converting to active factor 10A. There ends the tissue factor pathway. Next. Then we are entering that final common pathway, both through the contact activation pathway and tissue factor pathway. What we have activated, factor 10 is activated to 10A. So, the factor 10A the obtained from tissue factor pathway and contact activation pathway are there. The fate of these two 10As are same. So we are going to tell about taking one 10A as common. Okay. 10A activate factor 2. Factor 2 is otherwise called prothrombin. And the activated prothrombin form another complex with the help of cofactor 5A and calcium. The name of that complex is called prothrombinase complex. How it get activated? By changing to thrombin. So 10A is coming, it binds prothrombin, along with that cofactor 5A and calcium also bind, form a complex called prothrombinase complex, and in such a way, in that way, prothrombin is activated and converted to thrombin, or otherwise factor 2A. Then that thrombin is formed there. Thrombin, what's the purpose? What's happening? What's the next function of that thrombin? Thrombin goes and activates fibrinogen, or otherwise called factor 1 to factor 1A, fibrin. Fibrin is formed there. That means all arrangement for developing a clot is well set here. So that fibrin then traps enough number of RBC and platelets on the site of wound to form a clot. And in that stage, that association between the platelets and that RBCs are very weak because of non-covalent bond. So we need to strengthen that clot. Otherwise, that clot may goes off, and again blood start to again the wound start to bleed. So we need to strengthen that clot. For that, what the body is doing? The thrombin has another function. It converts factor 13 to factor 13A. Factor 13A is otherwise called a transglutaminase. This factor 13A adds covalent bond between these platelets and RBC and strengthen and form a very strong clot. It's about the blood clotting. So is a very sure question for your examination. Have to explain all this cascade, and also remember while writing, not write all 11 as such. Instead, you write it in the form of Roman letters. With this, we finish today's class. Thank you.